Welcome, loves, to another episode of my podcast, That's Fine With Me. Today we're going to be talking about Hollywood and how dangerous Hollywood is. When you hear the word Hollywood, what comes to mind? First words, I bet it's glamour, makeup, fame, money, celebrities, and maybe, just maybe, there are other words for you to come up with. Lies, greed, drugs, depression, misery, and manipulations. What do you think, guys, about that words? We're going to dive into this topic a little bit deeper in today's podcast because I was thinking when I was a kid, I wanted to be a Hollywood star. I wanted to be someone like Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, Hilary Duff, maybe Selena Gomez, and let's talk about, I don't know, who was there back in the day. Zendaya was a little bit later, but when I was growing up, and I was born in 1994, I mean, these were my idols. And of course, I wanted to be one of those idols. And of course, you look at these beautiful, shiny things they're wearing, you're looking at their makeup and their stylist and cameras, recognition from fans, being popular, having beautiful cars and houses and designer clothes, attending some runway shows. And I don't really know kids that don't want to have this dream and don't really want to pursue this dream. Maybe there are, but most of the time you actually get excited about certain things that you see on the screens because they're selling you the dream of Hollywood, of some rich producers that might bring this richness to you. Unfortunately, when you really see the reality of Hollywood and when you start reading about, like, by the way, social media helped a lot because right now we do have a lot of people from YouTube that are independent and they're not going to be shut down telling their truth and telling some stories, especially like TikTokers and influencers. They're sharing the stories. And that happened when Sean Diddy was the downfall of Sean Diddy. A lot of people came forward, as well as a Me Too movement with Harvey Weinstein, that told the truth, and people received the actual evidence of what was happening behind the scenes of Hollywood. That is the main reason why I think it is so important to tell you guys, and maybe tell some of you guys who are teenagers and have this idea of Hollywood that is so pretty and it's so glamorous and shimmery, that it's not. It is definitely not. Back in the day, I guess it was late 80s or maybe early 90s, but my husband and I, we watched this film a couple of months ago. My friend recommended. It's called The Showgirls, and this film was super early because people were not expecting something that honest and open and raw in some ways. That was the main reason why a lot of critics, they hated the film, and they were discussing the vulgar script of the film because the script actually showed what was happening behind the scenes. That showed some SH, it showed some toxins and drugs and power, sexual interactions when you had no power over yourself. And especially if you have some background that could have been used against you, well, believe it or not, they would use this background against you. And backstabbing, everything was shown in the film. And it was so early on back in the day that was the main reason why it wasn't extremely popular. But people literally were shocked when they saw the reality of Hollywood. I'm not really sure if it was Hollywood. If I'm not mistaken, it was like Las Vegas or something like this. But it's pretty much similar to what is happening behind the scenes of Hollywood as well. Let's talk about Disney Channel. Okay, we're going to get started from the bottom of the problem. So Disney Channel is known and famous for exploitation, and a lot of kids were exploited back in the day, and they're still, I guess, exploited nowadays. And still, there are a lot of kids and parents that are willing to get to Disney Channel because it's going to open a lot of doors. It is so easy for agents to find future actors and singers through channel like Disney Channel because they're already established famous people that it's so much easier to work with in the future. And Britney Spears, she basically had no childhood, as well as Lindsay Lohan. They were exposed to this fame from early age, as well as Dylan and Cole Sprouse. Let's talk about Selena Gomez. Let's talk about Ryan Gosling as well. They were back in the day in Disney Channel. And I do really think a lot of these celebrities, they're pretty much appreciative to the opportunity that Disney provided. But unfortunately, right before, I guess, 90s, there were no rules for kids while they were filming. And that was the main reason why California started exploring some new options and expanding, I guess, some laws and establishing certain laws to protect kids while they're filming on set. By the way, Disney Channel did not pay a lot of money That was the main reason why a lot of parents that were in debts, because of course there were a lot of kids participating in these movies, but the leading part was only one, and that was the main reason why a lot of kids, they participated, but they're not famous now, and maybe they were not ever famous. They just like were showing their faces here and there, and that was it for them. That is the main reason why I think it is important to tell that when you're exposed from the early age and from very young age to publicity, and especially show business, and I'm talking about Hollywood in particular, you understand that they're not going to have the same experience as a regular teenager. They're not going to have the same love story, probably. They're not going to have the same friends. And all of these friends, they might actually stab you in the back when you're grown up. Or if you're lucky to have someone honest, well, maybe you're going to have someone honest. But the problem of Hollywood is that when those little celebrities are becoming teenagers and maybe some young adults, they are exposed to Hollywood, like raw Hollywood, because no one is going to protect them if not their parents, and they have to be by themselves. And of course, a lot of talent agents, they want to take advantage of their fame, and they want to put them in so many different films and in so many different projects that sometimes it's exhausting and overwhelming, and you start losing yourself because you know that you have no rest and you have no boundaries. Paparazzi, they're stalking you. Fans, they're not giving you any chance to be alone. Like, the publicity is crazy. And even with social media and with a lot of the truth that's coming from celebrities today, still there is a huge problem that you're not going to get a lot of privacy when you're off the set. And these consequences, you should know before you enter the game. That is the main reason why I think it is, like, we have great examples such as Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez, as well as, like Lindsay Lohan, Britney Spears, when they started early on, and I guess the mental health is so fragile during the stage when you're doing presses and when you're working really hard. And of course, you understand that these kids are performing when they're 14, and they have to be busy and they have to stay awake for a long period of time, and of course they get tired. Grown-ups are getting tired, but these kids, they have no boundaries, and it's so hard for them to relax. That is the main reason why when they'll become a teenager or they're becoming some young adults and they have this access to parties and some substances that are not allowed and they're not legally allowed, of course they're going to have access to the substances. And that happened to all of the celebrities that I mentioned earlier, except for maybe Hilary Duff. But Hilary Duff, she was really popular back in the day, and I guess she had to step back before she could snap and ruin her career for good. And that happened to Lindsay Lohan, especially when she had one of the most successful years of her career. She started partying with Paris Hilton, as well as Britney Spears started partying with Paris Hilton, and they were all in a big trouble when there was like no stop for partying. And of course, big names step into the game, such as Didi and other producers and super influential people that took advantages of these young girls. And if we're talking about the downfall of Didi, you know that sometimes he invested his time in girls, but at the same time, he was taking advantage of these girls. He could beat them, he could film them, give some substances, and do horrible things, as well as Justin Bieber. Some sources say that probably he might have been exposed to Didi without parental observations. And that is the main reason why I think it is horrifying what Hollywood is capable on. And now we're moving to a little bit different section of Hollywood. So when you are a young adult, or maybe like not a teenager, but you come to Hollywood and you have your dreams to become a super popular celebrity, then you start the audition and you get one rejection after another one and another one. This, I guess, information I got from Joe Rogan and Tom Green in their podcast. They were talking about Hollywood and the truth of Hollywood. Whenever you go from one audition to another one and you get it rejected all the time, first of all, it gets to your self-esteem and the vanity that you were feeling when you came to Hollywood, and like your dreams are going to be fulfilled, let's say. Then you understand that no one really cares about you, so you start acting in a weird way and you start acting like you're a different person. When you know that some other person was casted for the role, you start hanging with this person, with this actor or singer, and you try to get access to the same people he or she has. And that is the main reason why it is so traumatizing for people, that they don't understand where the line ends, where they have to still stay and be themselves, and when they have to just be completely different people and start behaving in a way that is going to drag attention. And of course, when a lot of actors came out with their statements and they were talking about Hollywood side and who are not super successful now. If I'm not mistaken, it was Tom Green, who was pretty successful actor back in the day. And if you watched Charles Angels, he was Chad, and if I'm mistaken, this was the Chad. And I always adored him, and I really liked his role, but at the same time, I thought, like, well, where did he go? I didn't see him anywhere else except for this role. And honestly, now I get it. He said that he had a lot of situations where he found a guy, or like he found a person who he found this Lucifer, I guess, in a way. And a lot of people and actors and someone who participated in Hollywood business, they're saying that there's a person who's always going to say and try to push you to get through your limits, and always try to tell you to do some weird and maybe some crazy stuff. It's going to bring the worst out of you. And Tom Green described the situation when he went to a show, if I'm mistaken, it was a Tonight Show. And it was way before Jimmy Fallon, by the way. And this person said, like, take a shot before you go to film. And he was like, I don't know. I don't know, maybe. And he's like, oh, you're going to listen up. It's just going to be for your own good. So he took a shot. And then he said, like, took another shot. Take another shot. He took another one. And then it was the third shot. And then when he came to the scene and he started like participating in the show, they had a couple more shots. And he was literally wasted. That was the main reason why tabloids the next day, they started saying that, oh, he's a drunk person, he's a drunk actor, he has some problem, and they were toying with the idea that he was an alcoholic and many, many more. And later, Tom got a lot of rejections from other companies and other producers because they were like, you're unstable, and this might ruin the image of a film or maybe some show that you were invited to. And Hollywood wants you to play by the rules. But when you break the rules or you're a little bit over the line, Hollywood doesn't want anything to do with you. I watched some other people talking about Hollywood, and they said that, like, we're not going to mention the names because those are big names. And these people, they were actually trying to get you in the Hollywood business by pushing your vanity. So the vanity is really important. Whenever people are talking about that, it is quite interesting that, of course, you want to be praised, and of course, you want someone to love you, and you want your fans. And this is a vanity. Whenever you find someone who knows how to pull the string, you're going to follow this person, and then they get you on the hook, and they can do whatever they want with your career, with you, and with your identity. And I heard a lot of examples when people were so tired of Los Angeles and California itself, specifically Hollywood. That was the main reason why they moved to other states, and they realized that they finally got rid of this haze of fame, of toxicity. And that is the main reason why, I guess, Justin Bieber, Lindsay Lohan, Britney Spears, I guess even Paris Hilton, though Paris Hilton came from a very, very rich family. I don't really think she had the same issues as the rest of those teenagers, but I'm pretty much sure that she faced some troubles as well as a teenager, being exposed to the publicity from a young age, I guess from her childhood. And that was the main reason, I think, why they snapped, because they were kind of like introduced to these producers and managers, and they wanted them to keep on going. And to keep on going, that these kids, these teenagers and adults, they're sooner or later are going to be extremely tired and they're going to be stressed out. And the better way to do this, they slip sometimes some substances in their food, and this was the main reason how they could keep on going. And a lot of people are, let's say, toying with an idea that Justin Bieber, he was exposed to Diddy, and something really bad happened during, their talking and hanging out. And Justin was super scared of him. And that was the main reason and the trigger why he started his journey with toxic substances. Another real reason, I think, from my point of view, Diddy was accused, and that is a known fact, that all the time he used drugs. And he used these drugs on someone who was on his parties. And if Justin Bieber participated in these parties, he could have been introduced to these substances, and it was really hard for him to say no, especially when he was a teenager with like no brain in a way. I mean, like, I'm not saying this seriously. I'm just saying that maybe he needed a guidance, but he found his, let's say in quotes, Lucifer, who led him to a wrong way. And that's the truth about Hollywood, that most of the time, this glamour and glitters and money, fame, this is just the surface, what we see on screens. But behind the scenes, there's so much dirt, and a lot of grown-ups, man, I mean, like, they can stand for themselves. They say that it was horrible and crazy what they saw back in the day. Of course, I think that Me Too movement exposed a lot of people, and this is a reality of, I guess, 21st century for sure, that social media, you can't hide something for so long without exposure. And I think a lot of vloggers, they got this access to media, to journalists, to some information that they started sharing. And that is the main reason why I'm going to be talking about a bit more Joe Rogan and Tom Green's podcast. Well, they mention in their podcast, the majority of California, and specifically California state, is a Democratic state, so they're liberal. Whenever you come there, if you're conservative, you're not going to get through the auditions. You're not going to get through anywhere because the top society is liberal. I'm not going to say if it's good or if it's bad. I am not from the United States, and that is the reason why I don't really care about the political system, how it built, how it works, and whatsoever. A lot of people are saying that, and I guess you know it for sure, but yeah, Hollywood, specifically LA and California, is a whole thing Democrats and liberal, basically. So if you're not supporting their ideas, and I'm talking about like top society, and I'm talking about top people, then you're not going to get anywhere else. Let's talk about Ellen DeGeneres. You know Ellen DeGeneres, she was always portrayed as a kind and really caring person with a great sense of humor, and she had her show for such a long period of time until a lot of people were coming through with their allegations that Ellen wasn't so kind and she wasn't that generous, and she was pretty much rude most of the time. Do you know Nikki Tutorials? I'm pretty much sure that you do know Nikki Tutorials. She's a very, very talented and famous makeup artist. That is the main reason why she was invited. Well, that wasn't the reason, but she had a really viral video, and Ellen DeGeneres invited her to the show, and they talked. Later, Nikki mentioned in a couple of shows that she expected more from Ellen, at least to have a handshake when they were done with filming. And this image that Ellen created, and she created, just fell apart when a lot of people were saying that Ellen was super mean to them, and she was mean to other celebrities, and her sense of humor is just a facade for her, just like reputation. Right now, I don't even know what is going on with Ellen DeGeneres, but I started with liberal. I started with Democrats. So I know for sure that Ellen DeGeneres, she is supporting the liberals, and she is actually a friend of Bush, one of the Bushes, the former president. And she's pretty much influential in certain areas. She has a lot of money. And let's talk about Ryan Reynolds. I don't know about his preferences in politics. I mean, I have no idea. But I do know that he shared a couple of photos where he was voting with his wife for who, I don't know, but I have an assumption that probably for Democrats and the Liberal Party. So you know that Ryan Reynolds is pretty much successful, or at least he used to be extremely successful and powerful. Right now, everything is on the rocks because he used his wife as a tool, and they used feminism as a tool to get to Justin Baldoni and hijack his film. Of course, it's really hard to say how powerful they were as a power couple. Yeah, a lot of people knew them. But they had Taylor Swift as a friend. They had a lot of people supporting their journey and supporting their couple. And right now, because of TikTok and because of social media, this image that, again, was really well created and curated, I'd say, is falling apart. And we know, as a matter of fact, as Candace Owens mentioned in her podcast, all of this information is strictly just my opinion, and I'm probably fantasizing. But when Candace Owens told in her podcast that Ryan Reynolds, he came to he came to a VMA CEOs or founders, I don't remember who he came to, he asked them to fire Justin Baldoni. And I guess they agreed on terms that whenever they file the kind of like SH allegations, in New York Times, immediately Justin Baldoni was fired. We do know that Ryan Reynolds, he put this image of a hilarious guy who was always joking, and he was always cute and very joking about everything. And then, when people started collecting the images through ages in some interviews, a lot of celebrities coming forward, the behavior he was showing, I guess, it wasn't good behavior, and he wasn't that cute and nice any longer, and he isn't actually any longer. People say that he used his power to get to people, and sometimes his power was used not only to get to someone who did something to him, but sometimes if he hated someone or if he felt threatened by someone, he would go after this person. As Justin Baldoni, I don't really think Justin Baldoni had anything to do with Ryan Reynolds, but something Ryan didn't like about Justin, and that caused this drama that we're still witnessing right now. So I'm saying here is that the most, funny guys and the most, nice guys that we're seeing in Hollywood in this perfect image, they're probably someone who are the most dangerous and powerful, and they're going to ruin you within a second, like that. They're going to just ruin you instantly. And when we actually discovered as a social media, society and community, when we discovered this thing, it is so hard to keep this dark side of Hollywood any longer. And we know that, just like, for example, Disney, we talked about exploitation, we talked about children still taking this job because it's going to give them an opportunity in the future, such as Zendaya. I mean, Zendaya, she has her parents following around, and if I'm not mistaken, her dad helped her a lot. And that is the main reason I guess Zendaya is in a good hands, because she has a great team, and her parents really cared about her, and they didn't let other managers and agent talents to exploit her. And I guess this is the only way around, where you have someone as a grown-up that can protect you from Hollywood and maybe create this power for you before you establish your own power. And if we're talking about Dylan and Cole Sprouse, they are twins, as well as Sister Olsen's. They were twins and they are still twins. But what I'm talking here about is specifically in, I guess, middle 90s and early 2000s, when this new law was forming that kids should be protected from overworking, overscheduled timing. That was the main reason why this law said that if kids are under 2 years old, they have to work not more than 2 hours a day. And for kids from 2 to 6, they could work for 3 hours only. That was the main reason why there was a huge demand on twins. Because twins, they're the same. And by hiring twins, they could prolong this working hours and finish effectively filming and shooting so much quicker. Because you can double hours. It's just like 3 hours, I guess, for kids from 2 to 6. And then if you have a twin, then you have at least 6 hours, which is almost a full day. And honestly, you can see that it has created an image that Hollywood wouldn't stop before they get things their own way. Even the law, they try to game, I guess, or outplay the law where they need to hire twins, so they still were gonna get the production going. I know that Sister Olsen's, they mentioned a couple of times that they're not interested in any more roles. They're not interested in Hollywood at all, because everything they acted in 90s and early 2000s, they don't really want to act anymore, because I think it is because of this exploitation. This is my point of view. If we're talking about Cole and Dylan Sprouse, I know that Dylan, he is a public figure, and he's married to a model. I don't remember her name. I'm sorry, Paulina. If I'm saying Pauline Sprouse. Yeah, they're public figures, but they're not that popular. I guess they're still, earning their money, but staying clear from Hollywood itself, as well as whenever Hollywood doesn't need you, or you're not following their trends anymore, they're gonna just throw you away as a trash. It happened to Taylor Lautner, that got huge success back in the day with the Twilights, and when he stopped getting any roles and invitations, he went through a really severe depression. Right now, he is back as an influencer, I'd say, because they have their own podcast and they're friends with Jaclyn Hill and her her husband, sorry. But I would say it was really harsh for Taylor Lautner for a long period of time. He tried to fight back his depression, and he gained some weight, and that was really, really hard for him. And he talked about the, I guess, mental health issues. I would say sometimes when a celebrity is not working any longer, and that happened to Britney Spears. I mean, fashion is going further, and a lot of those celebrities, they're not popular in a sense, because a lot of these teenagers, they grew up and now they have their own life, and they're a new generation of kids. They're going to be interested in a little bit different type of people, especially as Zendaya. She got so popular years ago, I guess back in the day, because she still had her chance in Disney Channel. And that actually led her to a success. And for now, she's hyping. She's really popular, as I say, a lot of Lindsay Lohan and Britney Spears back in the day. But maybe they're going to be another switch of generations. And Zendaya, she's still going to have her niche in acting career, but they're going to be still someone else, like Sabrina Carpenter. She's hyping now. And that is the main reason why it's always going to be someone new that is going to be bigger, brighter, and maybe slip in a sense of this crazy amount of hours to work. And I see a lot of different channels on YouTube. They're talking about PR team and crisis PR teams that try to rebrand your name if you have some troubles, such as a TikToker, Mendes Beer. No, not her. I don't remember the TikToker with the weird dance, and she wanted to be a celebrity. She wanted to become a celebrity, and she has become a celebrity because she hired people that knew how to make her a celebrity, that showed half of her life, some side of her story, like her life, partially. And then some of it they hid from the public eye. And people were wondering, what is going on? What is interesting? Then they created a couple of viral videos through internet, and they just injected this in TikTok. And people were like, oh, now she's a celebrity. So these people, they know how to play with your mind, and they know how to make someone popular and how to destroy someone else. This is a reason why you shouldn't trust every single video that you see online, and TikTokers are not showing the truth. I guess TikToker insanity has become real, and it is not similar to Hollywood because no one is making you do something. It's more like I want to become popular at any cost, and you're becoming your own Lucifer in a way. So I don't know, guys, what do you think? I know that a lot of people, they're going through stuff like mental health issues, paparazzi, public shaming, as well as like stabbing from their friends and parties and toxins. But still, there are going to be kids, teenagers, adults wanted to become popular, wanted to get to this business. Maybe with this exposure, the Hollywood is going to become more cautious, but I doubt. It's so hard when you've been doing this for years, for decades, and to be careful now, I don't know. It's really hard. When people can't catch you within like 2 or 3 or maybe 5 years, you don't really pay attention to your steps, and you don't really pay attention to what you actually do that may attract attention. You have to be super cautious, and you have to be super attentive to your acts and whatever you say in some interviews, as well as Blake Lively. She didn't really pay attention in one interview, and then the other interview, and many, many more. And then it was piling. And eventually, when she didn't care about this curated facade she's created, it just fell apart because of some things that she forgot that she still had to pay attention to. Let me know in the comments, what do you think, guys? I love you all so much, and I'm going to see you in my next podcast. That's fine with me. Yeah, we're going to be probably talking about Lindsay Lohan and her downfall. I don't know. We'll see. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.